Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We're just going to let a few more people join us on the call tonight, and then we will get started with our presentation. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our fifth and final Great Beginnings webinar session for 2025. We are so excited for you to be joining us here tonight and can't wait to share Ready, Set, Kindergarten, Building Self-Care Skills for Success. My name is Amanda Gleed, and I'm the Early Years Specialist here at the Durham District School Board. And I'm lucky to have many special guests joining me here tonight who I will introduce to all of you in just a moment. But I do want to start this evening's presentation by reading our land acknowledgement. The Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which our school board and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms a part of the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, the Mississauga peoples, and the treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live. So once again, we want to thank you for joining us for this final session of 2025. As you are aware, this evening's presentation will be focused on building self-care skills that will support your child once they transition into kindergarten in the fall. Tonight's session is being presented by some wonderful individuals who are true experts within their fields, and I'm thrilled to have two amazing public health nurses from our very own Durham Region Public Health Department who will be sharing information about how to support your child build self-care skills, including using the toilet independently, dressing and undressing without assistance, and following directions. I'm also very pleased to share that we are lucky enough to have some wonderful educators here from Early On Child and Family Centers who will be offering practical activities that you can implement within your home. For those of you who are not familiar with Early On, these centers provide opportunities for children from birth to 6 to participate in play and inquiry-based programs and support parents and caregivers in their roles with access to a network of resources. Whether this is your fifth or your first webinar session with us, we are very happy to have you here with us here tonight. And we look forward to joining you on this very exciting, but also a little bit nerve-wracking journey of transitioning into kindergarten. Tonight's session will be recorded and will be made available through our virtual webinar library for viewing once again at your convenience. Recordings from our first sessions are now available. We had 3 that we offered in April, and our fourth session was in early May. And we strongly do encourage families to view the recordings if you haven't been able to see one, or if you are interested in rewatching again. I will post that link to those recordings in just a moment, and you're welcome to access those whenever you would like. For those viewing the presentation live this evening, please feel free to submit any questions using our Q&A feature within our Zoom call. You are welcome to submit any questions that you might have throughout the presentation. We will be having a Q&A session at the end of the call, so if we don't answer your question right away, please note that we will do our best to get to it at the end of tonight's information part and hopefully answer all of the questions or wonderings that you might have, especially as you're looking ahead to that exciting transition for your little one coming to school for the very first time. Also, because this is a webinar session, the microphone options are not available. So if there are questions or comments, please do use that Q&A feature, and we'll do our very best to address anything that is submitted. At this time, though, I would like to introduce our wonderful guest presenters who will be discussing self-care skills for success in kindergarten. So Jen Sullivan and Chandesia French are public health nurses with Durham Public Health Department. They both have the privilege of working in the Healthy Families program, offering programs, services, and referrals that support individuals and families to achieve optimal child, youth, parental, and family health. In their role as early learning coordinators, they support healthy growth and development of children birth to 6 years of age. Through collaboration with community partners and participation in community programs to share information with parents and caregivers. We're so excited to have both of them here this evening, and I know that the information that they're sharing will be wonderful and helpful for all of you joining us tonight. I'm also pleased to introduce Smita Sharma, who is a registered early childhood educator who supports the Pickering Early On Child and Family Centers. In her role with Early On, Smita regularly plans engaging activities for young children and actively supports community networking and family engagement. We're thrilled to have Smita join us here tonight as well. And last but certainly not least, we have Amy Vlug, who is a registered early childhood educator who has worked with the Whitby Early On Child and Family Centers for 15 years. And again, in her role with Early On, Amy regularly plans engaging activities for young children and again, actively supports communities by networking and providing family engagement. And again, we're very happy to have Amy joining us this evening. So with that, with those introductions, I'm very happy to pass off this portion of the presentation with Jen and Chandesia, who are going to get us started on some information about building self-care and self-help skills.
Thank you so much for such a warm introduction. So I'm just getting my screen set up here so I can share with you. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Wonderful. So again, thanks so much, Amanda, for that warm introduction. My name is Chandesia French. I've been with the health department for just over 9 years, and Jen has been with the health department for 18 years. And we're very privileged to work with the families and community agencies that we do in our work as early learning coordinators. So as mentioned, we'll be talking about building self-care skills for success. Oh, sorry, just noticed that it's not toggling. There we go. So tonight, what you'll learn about is what is self-care. We're also going to learn about self-care skills for your child, and of course, how you can support your child with developing self-care skills. So to start off, let's talk about what self-care means. Self-care simply means children can independently tackle the school day. Helping your child be successful in school involves supporting them with their independence. The more your child can do on their own before the school begins, the more they'll be able to do once they're at school. Having self-care skills means your child can look after their own needs, they're well coordinated, and they use their dominant hand to do most of their tasks on their own. For example, dressing themselves or toileting on their own. A child who can dress themselves independently, feed themselves, go to the bathroom on their own, write, cut, and color without help will be more confident and equipped to navigate the tasks of the school day. This independence will help them be more successful in their learning journey. In senior kindergarten, and I know that's a little bit ahead, but just so you know, in senior kindergarten, teachers complete a questionnaire for children to gauge how ready they are to learn in school starting in grade 1. This questionnaire is called the Early Development Instrument. One of the areas that this questionnaire looks at is the child's physical health and well-being. Physical health and well-being is a domain in that questionnaire that takes a look at the child's fine and gross motor skills. So how are they holding a pencil? What is their play like? Are they running well? Are they well balanced? Do they have coordination when they're playing on the playground at recess? It also looks at their energy levels for the classroom activities. So are they coming to school well rested? Have they had a balanced breakfast? And it also looks at their independence in looking after their own needs and daily living skills. So how do they do with getting dressed on their own, washing their hands by themselves, or going to the bathroom on their own? So the focus for today will be on their independence in looking after their own needs and daily living skills, which is their self-care. Having self-care skills also means that your child is meeting their developmental milestones. Good balance when standing or walking, being able to climb stairs well, having coordination, and appropriate level of strength for their age will help them participate in school activities. So for the sake of time, we will highlight some of the things children between the age of 3 and 4 years old should be able to do. And if at all you're ever concerned about your child meeting their milestones on time, we always recommend that you follow up with a healthcare provider for further assessment. We really want everyone to know and to remember that every child grows at a unique pace. So the important piece to focus on is that they're making progress. Your child's development may be slower or faster than others. But again, if you ever have concerns, follow up with a healthcare provider. So by 3 to 4 years old, what can your child do? Here are just a few things that are markers or indicators that they're meeting their developmental milestones. 1, they should be able to tell you how they're feeling. 2, they should follow 2 directions that are unrelated. They should be able to dress and undress independently, quiet themselves down after being active, or use the toilet independently. So I'll go into a little bit more details on each one of these. So your child should be able to let you know how they're feeling. They should be able to speak in 4 to 6 word sentences and tell you things like, I'm hungry, I'm tired, or I have to pee. By this age, most of what they say should be understood by their parents or primary caregivers because you would be the most familiar with your child and better at interpreting their unique way of communicating. Your child should be able to follow 2 directions that are unrelated. For example, if you ask them to please pick up the book and get your shoes, they can follow through with both actions. This shows that they can complete 2 different tasks without having to be reminded. And this is a skill that will serve them well in school when they have to, for example, come in from recess, hang up their jacket, and put on their indoor shoes. The self-care skill of following directions and actively listening to teachers will help them navigate through the school day with ease. Involving them with simple tasks at home reinforces the development of this skill. For example, get them to help out with wiping the table after dinner or snack time, scraping off their dishes, putting their snack containers away. All these are really simple tasks that they can get involved with at home, and it will develop their independence, their confidence, and their competence with accomplishing daily tasks. They will also develop a sense of pride by contributing to the family dynamic, which may translate well into them helping their teachers at school with simple tasks like putting away their crayons, their books, cleaning up after playtime, or organizing their personal items. For dressing and undressing independently, this takes practice. Support your child with practicing to do up and undo zippers on their jackets, their sweaters, and their pants. Help them with snap closures, buttons, and even pull-on clothing. Give them time to do this on their own and be patient with them. Allow extra time for them to practice dressing themselves without feeling rushed. So that means planning to have an extra 5 to 10 minutes before you know you have to head out so they have time to practice getting dressed independently. This skill will help them be independent in taking off and putting on layers of clothing when they need to go to the bathroom or when they're getting ready to go out for recess in the cooler months while they're at school. Your child should begin to develop an awareness of when playtime is over and it's time to quiet down for indoor time or for learning. Children 3 to 4 years old should be able to transition from a more active and energetic activity to being calm and focused. Learning in kindergarten is play-based, but there are various forms of learning. So you can support your child with developing the skill to transition from active to quiet play by having routines in your home. So morning routine and a playtime routine. For example, at the end of a playtime routine, we'd have to quiet down, put the toys away, and transition to the next activity. Lastly, your child should be able to use the toilet independently. And we'll go into this in more detail in the next few slides. So keep these skills in mind as your child is transitioning into kindergarten. Be aware that starting kindergarten is a big milestone in their life. And there may be hiccups, there may be speed bumps, and there may even be setbacks, but all that is okay. Remember to be patient with your child, be patient with yourself, and give yourselves grace. You know your child best. So again, if you ever have concerns about your child meeting their milestones, follow up with a healthcare provider. So one important self-care skill that all children getting ready for kindergarten will have is using the toilet independently. So in the next few slides, we'll talk about toilet learning, including signs of readiness and how you can support your child with developing this self-care skill. Toilet learning is a child-oriented approach. The key to toilet learning is teaching and guiding your child's learning at their own pace with support from you or a trusted adult. It's important to have and maintain a positive attitude and avoid putting a time period or age to have your child trained. Remember, toilet learning is not a measure of your parenting ability. It's also important to understand that toileting is a very complex self-care skill and will take time for your child to learn. First, your child must be aware of the pressure sensations in their bladder and their bowel. Then they have to make the connection between those sensations and what's actually happening inside their body. Next, they have to unlearn what they've been previously taught, which is using their diaper as the bathroom. They need to recognize when they have to use the bathroom, they have to be able to stop what they're doing and respond to that urge. Responding to the urge involves a few steps, and that in of itself is a bit complex for them at that age. They would have to tell you or their caregiver that they have to use the washroom, then they have to go to the potty, they have to remove their clothing, figure out how to sit comfortably on a new kind of seat, and hold on to that urge until it's time to go. So as you can see, there's lots of steps involved. This can't be learned overnight. The average time from the start of toilet learning to being able to use the bathroom independently varies from 3 to 6 months, and most parents underestimate the time required for toilet learning. Toilet learning is different from toilet training. Toilet training is when the parent or caregiver's goal is to have the child trained in a certain period of time or by a certain age without really considering the child's readiness to learn. And research suggests that there's no benefit to this approach. Starting the toilet learning journey begins with creating a positive learning environment at home. You and your child both play a role in the success of this journey. So we'll talk about your responsibility in this journey and your child's responsibility. So your responsibility in this learning journey is to recognize that your child is in control of their body. Teach your child the correct words for their body parts and their body functions. So peeing and pooing. Give your child the tools they'll need to be successful at toileting. So if they need a small potty or a potty seat or a stool to climb up to the larger toilets, that will set them up for success. It's also your responsibility to teach them proper hand washing techniques. They should be scrubbing both sides of their hands very well with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. So a trick we recommend is teaching them a hand washing song to sing while they do this so that the 20 seconds flies by and they're having fun while doing it. Make sure they dry their hands really well in a paper towel or a towel, not their clothes. Also, expect and handle accidents without anger. Accidents will happen, and when they do, avoid punishment or shame. Remember to offer praise when they do use the toilet or the potty successfully, and praise them even when they're able to communicate that they need to use the washroom. Lastly, try using the washroom in public places to get your child familiar with using the washroom in different places, because this is going to help them for school. When they're at school, the bathroom there is not really familiar to them. So if you practice using the washroom when you're out and about at public rest stops, then that will help them get familiar to using the bathroom in unfamiliar spaces. Oh, I also missed one. Get everyone involved in this journey on the same page. So this is going to help ensure a consistent approach while you're toilet learning with your child. Your child's responsibility is to learn their body signals for when they need to use the toilet. They need to use the toilet at their own pace, and they're responsible for washing their hands each time they go to the washroom. Remember that toilet learning is not based on them getting it by a certain age. Also, there's no specific age at which toilet learning should begin. However, most children achieve bladder and bowel control between 2 to 4 years old. Bowel movement control often happens before urinary control because it's harder to control liquids than solids. Many children are aware of when they're having a bowel movement, but as you may have noticed, they'll often be shy about telling their parent or caregiver, or they may not even know what to do. Toilet learning should not be rushed. Children can worry and even hold back bowel movements if they're feeling pressured, which is not something that we want. So I'll turn over to Jen, who will talk about signs of readiness and some additional information.
Thank you so much, Shandicia. So some of the signs of readiness. So how might you know that your child is showing signs of readiness to learn toilet learning? We have to look at the big picture and see how they are doing in a few different areas. So physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially. Physically, by 18 months, your child is physiologically and anatomically ready to use the toilet. Their reflex sphincter control, which is the muscle that stops the pee from flowing, and their nervous system, responsible for sending those signals from their brain to what their body is doing, have matured. Both of these processes are needed for bowel and bladder control, and these are something that you're not able to speed up. These are their developmental processes. You will know when they have reached these milestones if their diaper is remaining dry in between trips to the bathroom. Another physical sign of readiness can be that your child begins to seek privacy when they are using the bathroom in their diaper. So perhaps they're hiding in the corner, maybe they remove themselves from the room, maybe there's a certain chair that they go behind, whatever the case may be, they've started to make some changes. You should also look for signs in their body posture. Some children are very obvious when they are using the bathroom. Same with their facial expressions. Some of them are very, very consistent in how they look when they're going to the bathroom. Your child may be physically ready when they can pull their pants up and down on their own. So as we've mentioned, we've talked a lot about zippers and snaps and buttons. It's a good idea if you can, when you're entering into this toilet learning phase, get them into pants that are easy to pull up and down. Try to avoid those zippers and buttons for a few weeks. Maybe they won't be super fashionable, but it's definitely going to help them out that way. Intellectual signs of readiness can include that your child is curious about what other family members' toileting habits are. They may ask questions or want to look at what's happening when you're using the bathroom. This may be a time where there is not as much privacy as you would like when you're using the washroom. Or they may ask questions when you're changing their diaper. These are all very normal. They are curious. Another sign is their ability to use the correct words. Just as Shandicia mentioned earlier, they are communicating that they need to use the bathroom. They know the names of their body parts. They know the names of peeing, pooing, what their body is going to do. As far as emotional signs of readiness, when your child is emotionally ready to toilet learn, you may notice that they have more of a desire to be independent. It is a stage where they want to do everything themselves. And this, again, kind of goes not just for toilet learning, but kind of across the board. They have a huge sense of independence that they want to build upon. So the desire is there. For toilet learning, your child may communicate that they want to use the potty. Another sign is that they will be willing to tell you when they've had an accident in their diaper or when they've used their diaper. It's really important to remember that if your child goes to the bathroom in their diaper or underpants, that this isn't a sign of failure. Your child is learning and adjusting to these sensations and needing to go to the bathroom in a different form. So they're also going to learn from and adjust to the discomfort of what it feels like to be wet or have soiled their underpants. It's a different sensation than a diaper. When they let you know that they've used the washroom, praise them for telling you, whether they made it to the bathroom or whether there was an accident in their underwear. Socially, your child is showing readiness for toilet learning when they're able to stop playing, pause, and take the time to go and use the washroom instead of continuing to play and going on the spot. So Also, one of the biggest questions parents have is this the right time to start a new skill? And as we mentioned earlier, toilet learning is a child directed focus versus toilet training, which is parent. So one of the biggest questions for learning a self-care skill, uh, including using the washroom, is how do we know when the right time is? So as Shandisi had mentioned before, and as we've tried to kind of weave through the whole presentation, is that you know your child best. Really trust your gut. Really go with, if you feel like they're ready, if they're showing these signs, it may be times to start taking those next steps, but don't rush into anything. So while waiting for those signs of readiness, here are some points to consider. So we do suggest trying to start this learning journey when you can offer your full attention, time, because it is a 3 to 6 month process. So not to be rushed. And consistency and routine are going to play a really big role in your child being successful with this self-care skill as well as anything. Avoid starting the journey when there are other major changes or events that are taking place in your lives. If there is significant change happening or lots of changes, little changes all at the same time, it may be best to delay learning a new skill, as this could make things extra stressful or overwhelming for your child and yourself. So some examples, I'm sure you're aware of them, but just we'll go through them, ones that we noted. So if you're planning to move, or if you've just recently moved, if your child is beginning a new childcare, or possibly they've transitioned to a different area or room within a current childcare setting, switching from a crib to their big kid bed, right before or right after the birth of a new sibling. Or if you've got a family member that may be dealing with illness, a recent death in the family, or other big changes that your family is experiencing that are significant. If your child is in the middle of toilet learning, perhaps during a stressful time, and a stressful time arises, and you start to notice more accidents, rest assured this is normal and likely due to the fact that your child is feeling overwhelmed. Your child will need your patience and your support, and they will return to their previous level of skill once things start to settle down. This can happen even once they transition to kindergarten. Transitioning into kindergarten is a huge milestone and a big transition, one of the first ones that they're super aware of. So there may be some speed bumps, hiccups in those early weeks. So again, not to panic, but to sort of expect and anticipate those. And we do, of course, encourage handling them with gentleness, understanding, patience to help support your child to get back on track, and yourself. So how can parents help with toilet learning? So we have a few more P's that we've come up with, if there wasn't already enough, in bathroom talk, as my girls call it. So for any self-care skill, your role as the parent is helping to establish those healthy routines where they can prepare to learn this new skill, and they can practice. So those are the 2 P's that we've added in here. We'll go over these just to kind of, again, offer those extra suggestions. And a lot of it has already been covered, so it's good reiteration. So as far as preparation, so for toilet learning, some of the things to remember when preparing for this process, got my P's mixed up, is to use the proper terms for body parts and their functions. So this is going to help to, one, avoid confusion for the child, but also once they enter into school, if they're in childcare, if you've got family members or other people supporting you, friends, if the children know the proper terminology for their body parts as well as their body functions, it eliminates that element of confusion. They're asking to use the bathroom because they have to go pee. Having a potty or a toilet seat accessible for your child. So just like Shandisia mentioned, whether it's a standalone potty, a potty seat, a stool perhaps on the larger toilet with a stepping stool to get up there. All of these things, having them available. And if you have multiple bathrooms within the house, if you're able, have one in each of those bathrooms so that the child, whichever bathroom's closer, they can get to. Dress them in, again, clothing that is easy to pull up and down. Role model. This is one that maybe is slightly controversial. So role model using the toilet for your child at home. So yes, we are suggesting allowing them to tag along with you on some bathroom trips. That being said, we do also caution that you would want to teach them that this is not normal practice. Please don't be following your friends or teacher to the bathroom once you're in school. But again, just to help normalize it and familiarize things in the safety and the comfort of your home. Also a really good time to talk about privacy. So while they are attending with you, noting to them that it is respectful to give privacy to their friends and their teacher and other people when you're out and about. And just as Shindicia mentioned, if you're using the bathroom in other places, it's just getting them, again, used and familiar to all of these new things that are uncommon to them. As far as practice goes, practicing a self-care skill or any skill is important. So have your child sit on the potty or toilet regularly. For example, set this routine. So every couple of hours, after meals and snacks, first thing in the morning, before naps and bedtime. Again, consistency is key. Remember that regression can happen and at any point. So there may be accidents. There's going to be accidents along the way. Handle these moments with gentleness, patience, and avoid shaming or punishing your child. Be prepared for those adventures outside of the home. So just as we mentioned, having them practice using the bathroom in other spaces, be prepared. When it's unfamiliar, they may be hesitant. Again, accidents can happen. So having clothes for a quick costume or outfit change is best practice and will save some chaos, hopefully. Also having diapers or training pants there and available if need be. And just sort of, especially if these are going to be long outings outside of the house. As Shandicia mentioned, bowel movements, usually that control does come first. But there may be times, again, when your child is hesitant to have a bowel movement. Allowing them, if they do need some extra time, to stool in their diaper. Because you are really trying to prevent sort of constipation. Constipation can lead to painful stooling, holding, and actually can delay toilet learning. So just be mindful that pooing can be a little bit more of a challenge or a speed bump for them to overcome. Trying to make sure that your child always feels safe, unrushed, and relaxed. It's not a process that can be rushed. And so making sure that they know they have the time, and again, making sure that you've set aside that time to support them in this journey. Make sure that you are open and communicate with the kindergarten teacher once it gets to that stage about any sort of things that you've noticed about your child's bathroom routine. So if there is something that they do or something that you think that the teacher could help to support this journey, again, letting them know that, they'll appreciate that. Also letting the little one know that the teacher, they are expected to independently toilet once they enter into school. So making sure that they're aware that they need to be doing that without someone in the bathroom necessarily. Again, just a reminder to help them practice their hand washing skills. It's the first line of defense for those germs. So we do want them to be washing their hands after every single trip to the bathroom. Doesn't matter whether it's pee or poo. And again, it is using soap each time, washing with friction for that 20 seconds, and then rinsing well. And as Shindicia said, drying either with paper towel or a towel, air dryer, but not their pants or their shirt. So one sort of last sort of thing, support, it doesn't start with a P, but we just wanted to quickly note some things about nighttime toilet learning. So if your child is able to stay dry and clean during the day, this is fabulous and fantastic. You can expect that staying dry at night or during nap time may take a little bit longer for them to achieve. So totally normal. When your child has been able to have a couple of nights where they're dry, they can go into some underpants. And we do suggest that you have a plastic sheet under the fitted bed sheet so that if accidents do happen, quick cleanup. Of course, they can still wear diapers at night if that is something that makes you feel more comfortable and them feel more comfortable. Sorry, my apologies. Encouraging them though, even though they do have the diaper on, to still be getting up and using the toilet if they are aware. And if accidents do start happening again, you can, of course, return to those diapers or pull-ups as needed, and without shame or without punishment. And if you have any concerns about why maybe the bedwetting or the nighttime wetting, I should say, has returned, these would be conversations to have with your healthcare provider. All right, so we'll do a bit of a pit stop, another pee. Sorry, we tried to be clever. If toilet learning is not going well, it is totally okay to take a break and we stress this. It's a few weeks, a few months. Do not rush back into things. We mentioned it could take 3 to 6 months, and whether it's because of a major event in yours and your child's life, or your child is just not feeling it. We know that as parents, we got to pick our battles. And if your child is refusing and pushing back with toilet learning, this may be a way of them trying to gain some control. So take that break and take it for as long as you do need to. We suggest that you really remove yourself from the toilet learning mode. So don't be talking about it. Don't be doing any of the activities that you were doing related to toilet learning. This will take the pressure off and allows you to reestablish that trust and cooperation between yourself and your child. Toilet learning battles can lead to withholding. So again, we really talked about, making sure that your child feels comfortable and relaxed, and wanting to avoid them holding in their urine or their bowel movements, because it's going to make the journey longer and more stressful. Of course, just like we've mentioned a couple times, if you have concerns, reaching out to your healthcare provider. They know your child and the history there as well. But we want to avoid, hopefully, any extra hiccups. Things to kind of be on the lookout for is if your child is consistently having stools that are really hard, if you notice that there's blood in the stools or the urine, if they are withholding the stools, if they've kind of taken into a pattern of that. Or if the regression after several months, it comes up after several months where they've been really successful for toilet learning. So just things to keep those conversations open with your healthcare provider as well. All right. So as far as how you can support your child. So we've mentioned this a couple times. You know your child best. You're also your child's first teacher. So children with loving and involved parents are more prepared for school. They have better developed social skills when they enter into kindergarten. And that is on you. That is all your hard work. The relationship children have with their parents affects their readiness to learn when they start school. When your child feels that they can count on you, when they have a problem, they tend to be willing to explore their environment more. They know you're there cheering them on in the background, and this encourages their learning. Getting ready for school is a transitional period, one of the first ones that they're really aware of. There will be learning curves for both your child and yourself. Those early weeks are tough. Prepare yourself. Create healthy routines and setting expectations before you start school can help both of you feel prepared, and being ready and willing to pivot and readjust those as you've entered in and it gets real. Healthy routines help your child to build their confidence and their knowledge with self-care skills and improve their ability to learn. Preschool age children want to become more independent. They want to do it all. Me do, I do is a very common sentence in their vocabulary. In your routines at home, just as Shandicia mentioned before, involving the children, giving them enough time to complete their activities. Sometimes they move a little slower than we would like, but again, trying our best to be smiley and patient with them when we can. Getting them involved in the household chores. Yes, they 100% are an active family member, and those chores are super important to get them involved in and practice regularly. They can help with things like sweeping, involve them in the kitchen. One of the big things for school is what snacks they want to eat, what lunches they want to eat. Get them involved in the kitchen, even with baking, helping to gather the ingredients for a recipe or even some measuring. They love to be with you and experiencing those things. It normalizes all of this. It's so important. And big thing, again, help them with tidy up. They don't get out of the cleanup just because they're little. This will increase their confidence and their independence in all activities. As more of their day is spent playing, as Shandisia mentioned, and learning independently, it is important to let them know what behaviors are expected of them. Making your expectations of them clear and talking to them about what their day is going to look like when they enter into school will make for a smoother transition from home to the school setting. So before I hand it back over to Shandisia, we just ask that you reflect on the presentation that we've created and presented here tonight. There have been some really key points that we hope we've been able to hone in on that will support you and your child in their learning, their self-care learning journeys. And so just make note of those. When the time comes, it does kind of sneak up on you in those. Feels like we've got a long time till September or whenever it may be, but making note of those and just again trying to move forward successfully with your self-care learning.
And to help you do that, we have tons of resources on Durham.ca that will give you additional information to help you prepare for that transition to kindergarten. So I'm just going to highlight some of our web pages and where you can find some electronic resources available. I'm just going to pull up my screen here. So one of the first websites is durham.ca/child development. It will take you to this webpage where you'll find tons of information on meeting milestones, toilet learning, getting ready for school, your child's safety, and parenting positively. So for example, if you were to come to this webpage and click on Get Ready for School, it will take you down to the section of the webpage where you'll find lots more resources that will give you some added information just to help build on those self-care skills that we talked about. So helpful resources for getting ready for school. You'll find some information on how to establish some healthy bedtime routines. So Healthy Sleep, Healthy Me, some more toilet learning tips available in French and English. There's a more detailed guidebook that's there as well. Positive discipline. So we talked about setting expectations and boundaries around your child's behavior and around the routines for the school day. So that resource will go into some more detail about that. And we also talked about one of the self-care skills, or the developmental milestones rather, is your child being able to tell you how they're feeling. So how are you feeling activity sheet is a great way to get your child to identify, recognize, and communicate their emotions and help them build on that skill. There's also the Creating Healthy Routines magazine. It's available in French and English, and I'll take you to that webpage in just a minute. And resiliency. So children are able to bounce back after going through stressful times in their life, and transitioning to kindergarten can be a positive stress. So how do they navigate that? How do they bounce back from experiencing that change? So there'll be some resources there as well. The other webpage is durham.ca/healthy routines. So that will take you here. And this is a wonderful resource about routines around bedtime again, around sun safety, physical activity, and healthy eating. And even in this magazine, you'll find some additional tips and tricks on how to get them involved in the kitchen, as Jen said, and just establishing routines in your home as a family. As she said, they're an active member of your family, and being involved in routines around the home are ways to develop those self-care skills, like getting dressed, helping with the snack time, helping with the meal time, which will really set them up for success in being independent in the school day. And lastly, durham.ca/positive parenting. This is has some resources on connecting with your child. So as we mentioned, when your child has a strong relationship with you, because you're putting in all the work to spend that quality time with them, they're more comfortable with exploring their environment, which includes the school community, because as Jen said, they know you're there cheering them on. So here you'll find some resources on how to connect with your child at every age. So there's one for the 3 to 5-year-old age. We also mentioned quite a bit in the presentation the importance of praising them and that positive reinforcement. So there's a really interesting resource on 98 different ways to tell them well done. So I'm just going to bounce back here. So lastly, but definitely not least, we do have Durham Health Connection line where registered nurses are on the line Monday to Friday during regular business hours, and you can ask them any question under the sun. So it's Durham 311, or you can call 905-668-2020, and it'll have some prompts where you can navigate based on the question that you have, and you'll be able to speak to a public health nurse. So whether you're looking for more resources, more information, some programs in the community that can help you prepare for a transition to school, the sky's the limit with the questions that you can ask at Durham Health Connection Line. So we encourage that if you do have a question that we may not have gotten to today, that you can call that number and get some additional assistance.
And I see Amanda has shared all of those links in the chat. So do make note of those as well. There is a public health nurse assigned to all of your children's schools. So we are there. And when you attend Welcome to Kindergarten, you will meet some of our colleagues. So again, always come up, say hello, but we are more than happy to chat with you. And please call the Durham Health Connection line if at any point you need us. And I think we were holding off on our questions, right? We're okay. Wonderful.
We are, yeah.
Oh.
So if families do have questions, please throw those in the Q&A, and we will save those. We'll have some time at the end to address as many as we can, and we'll certainly do our best to answer anything that's submitted. So again, use the Q&A feature, and we will do our best to answer those. And thank you so much, Jen and Shandicia. That was a fantastic presentation, and I know that families are likely, thinking about all of that wonderful information that you shared, but it really was so fulsome with all of these great reminders and things to think about, and just being mindful of, that journey of learning to use the toilet and be, skilled in some of those areas that maybe for us right now, we don't really remember going through that because we've been doing this for so long. So just to think about all of those steps that it takes, it's really, really informative and just eye-opening that I'm sure all of the families who are on our call this evening are thinking about that as well. So thank you both so much. And now I'm really pleased to pass the presentation over to Smita and Amy, again from early on, who have brought some practical activities and strategies that you can use at home.
Thank you so much, Amanda. And I will quickly share my screen first. All right. Perfect. Great. So, hello everybody, and thank you, Amanda. Thank you for inviting us to this beautiful program that we are doing this evening. And before I actually start off with anything, I would like to say congratulations to all the proud families whose little ones are starting kindergarten. What an exciting special time it is. Enjoy every moment. The adventure has just begun. Trust me, it's coming from an 18-year-old mother who's my son is 18-year-old, and it's a beautiful journey. So enjoy it. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start off by just going through some of our actually just wanted to introduce you to what early on exactly is. So my name is Smita. I primarily work out of the Pickering Early On Child and Family Centers. And with me is Amy, who works at the Whitby Early On. Early on child and family centers are places in your community where families and children birth to 6 years come together for play based learning activities, get advice from professionals trained in early childhood development, form relationships and connections with other families, and learn about family services available in their community. Early on child and family centers in Durham are facilitated by the YMCA of Greater Toronto and Durham Farm and Rural Family Resources. So, early on child and family centers are actually located throughout Durham region, as far west as Pickering, and as far east as Newcastle, as far north as Kennington, and almost everywhere in between. We deliver programs within schools, community centers, libraries, and outside in local parks. Please check out our Durham region website to find an early on child and family center near you. For programs in Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa, Clarington, and Scugog, please contact earlyon.durham at ymca.org. For programs in Uxbridge and Brock Townships, please contact ECE at durhamfamilyresources.org. You can also take a quick screenshot or snap a photograph on your phone if you would like to. And with that, I'll let Amy take it from here.
Okay, thank you, Smita. So I'll give you some more information about the early on programs. Early on child and family centers utilize the How Does Learning Happen document, Ontario's pedagogy for the early years, as our curriculum. The 4 foundations of learning, which are belonging, well-being, engagement, and expression, guides us in the creation and implementation of our early learning activities while supporting children for their transition to kindergarten program. The kindergarten program extends on the principles, expectations for learning, and pedagogical approaches outlined in the How Does Learning Happen document. You can find these documents on the ontario.ca website if you would like to investigate further. Our free government-funded school readiness programs help to prepare children and their parents for the transition to kindergarten through play-based activities. These activities build social, cognitive, physical, and emotional well-being and independence. You can find us on the durham.ca website. I think Smita had put it on the last slide. And you may register to join us for programs we offer, such as K is for Kindergarten, Focus on Preschool, Family Music and Movement, Explore and Discover, and Forest Families programs. Also, feel free to drop into one of our Play to Learn programs and participate in unstructured early learning activities with us. So Smita and I will be adding to the information already shared by the Durham Health Department team, Shandicia and Jen. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. We will be reiterating some key points as well as sharing school readiness activities for you to explore with your child or children. Okay, next slide. So here we will talk a little bit about self-care. Self-care in kindergarten includes and focuses on developing independent skills. Building self-care skills is essential for promoting confidence, healthy habits, and independence. At this stage, children are developing skills like dressing, eating, basic hygiene, and becoming more aware of themselves and their environment. So now, Smita will go over some key practical self-care skills and examples of activities to support this.
All right, thanks, Amy. So why is self-care important? It helps us feel strong and independent. It makes us ready for fun learning and making friends. It also promotes physical health, learning basic self-care skills like washing hands, brushing teeth, eating healthy foods, getting enough sleep helps children stay healthy and avoid illness. It also builds independence. When children learn to dress themselves, use the bathroom, and take care of their belongings, they develop a sense of responsibility and confidence. It also supports emotional well-being, teaching kids to recognize their feelings and use calming strategies like taking deep breaths helps them manage emotions better and reduces stress or tantrums. It also improves school readiness. Self-care skills help children function better in a classroom setting where they may need to do things without constant adult help. It also develops life skills. Starting early with routines and self-care habits sets the foundation for a lifetime of healthy, self-sufficient behavior. All right, so that brings me to my first activity, which is wash your hands. Now, this is an engaging and interactive activity designed to teach young children the importance of proper hand hygiene in a fun and memorable way. Through songs, actions, and simple instructions, children learn when and how to wash their hands, such as after using the washroom, before eating, or after playing outside. This activity not only reinforces healthy habits, but also reduces the spread of germs and illnesses. By making hand washing enjoyable and routine, children are more likely to adopt it as a lifelong habit, supporting overall health and well being. So, the materials used for this activity would be soap, water, towel. Sometimes we also get those printable hand washing charts just to let them know about the steps. So the 20-second hand washing that Shandazia mentioned earlier would be an excellent tool to use, and we could include actually fun songs, which could include Happy Birthday or the ABC song, which are all 20 seconds. Row, row, row your boat is a fun one. This is the way we wash our hands. If you're happy and you know it. We can also use some hand stamps on their hands and then let them wash it off. And we could always reward them or end them with a badge by saying hand washing hero or something. Now, activity 2 is I can use the toilet. Now, the I can use the toilet activity is an early childhood learning experience that teaches children the steps of independent toileting in fun, supportive, and age-appropriate way. The activity typically includes storytelling or picture books that explains toilet use in a relatable and engaging way, role playing with dolls or toy toilets to demonstrate and practice the steps, visual schedules or step-by-step charts showing what to do, which I will show you in my next slide, such as pulling down the pants, sitting on the toilet, wiping, flushing, and washing hands. Songs or rhymes that reinforce the routine in a memorable way. Positive reinforcement through praise, stickers, or rewards for participating and trying independently. So this activity helps children become comfortable and confident with toileting, making it valuable part of early learning and development programs. Now, this is the chart that I was talking about, so we can always post this chart in the washrooms. Potty learning also encourages independence. Again, being able to use the toilet without help gives children a big sense of pride and confidence. It helps them feel more grown up and capable. It also helps with school routines. So kindergarten classrooms have set schedules and often fewer adults per child. If children are potty trained, or potty, if they know how to use the potty, they can manage their needs without interrupting the class or needing extra support. Let me now pass it over to Amy, who will discuss snack time.
Okay. How can we help our children with snack and lunchtime in kindergarten? To help children develop the fine motor skills needed for snack and lunch times, these activities can be implemented as part of your daily routine. One activity you can try is to sit at a table with your child and let them open and close different types of packaging, like Ziploc baggies, lunch boxes, and drink containers. More activities to try, using a variety of utensils such as forks, spoons, and child-safe knives to eat with, practice pouring drinks into a cup, cleaning up their spot at the table after eating and washing their hands. Also, you can engage with your child while preparing snacks and allowing them to spread butter on bread, pour cereal and milk into a bowl, and peel fruit. You can also play a placemat setting game, which can teach table setting, table etiquette, and practice sitting at the table while eating. So now we will take a look at a sorting game you can play with your child called My Plate. Okay. So for this activity, My Plate, you will need some printable food pictures or plastic play foods and a My Plate drawing on a piece of paper. So draw a circle and create sections like you see in the slide. You may also need scissors and glue. Allow your child to sort foods into the correct My Plate food groups: fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, and dairy. This activity teaches food recognition, categorization, and some basic nutrition. So now Smita will talk about dressing.
All right, so Dress Up Challenge is a fun interactive activity that encourages children to practice dressing themselves using a variety of clothing items in a playful setting. Children are invited to choose from hats, shirts, jackets, shoes, and other dress up items. Um, Sometimes based on themes like weather, occupation, or pretend play. This activity helps develop fine motor skills, hand-eye coordination, and sequencing abilities as children learn how to put on and take off clothing properly. It also promotes independence, decision making, and self confidence while giving opportunities for creative expression and social interaction with peers. Now, we can always do practice putting clothes on and off. We can put materials or different kind of dress materials in a bag. So we can make a big box of hats, socks, shoes, jackets, and then we can do like a timed dress up relay. We can also practice zipping and buttoning. We can also create a dressing board with buttons and zippers that they can practice on. The next activity is my own things. So my own things in my backpack is an activity that encourages children to take responsibility for organizing and managing their personal belongings. During this activity, children pack or pretend to pack their backpacks with items they use daily, such as a water bottle, snack, extra clothes, or any school supplies. While learning about what each item is for and where it belongs, this hands on experience promotes independence, organizational skills, and responsibility, helping children understand the importance of taking care of their own belongings. It also supports memory development and routines as children begin to recognize what they need each day. Additionally, this activity builds self confidence by empowering them to prepare for their day on their own. So we can label their items on their backpacks, we can label their water bottles, and we can also play a little mini game which says, "What's in my bag?" Right, and now I'm going to pass it over to Amy. She's going to talk about self-regulation.
Thank you, Smita. So, what is self regulation? Self regulation involves the ability for children and adults to manage their behaviors, emotions, and attention. These activities will help your child identify with and understand their emotions and those of others. You can help your child to identify and label their emotions and feelings. This can be done by encouraging self expression and validating their experiences. For example, you might say to your child, "What happened? You seem upset. Did it anger you when your puppy chewed your favorite book? That must be very upsetting." So, here are a couple of activities you can play together to foster emotional regulation. The first activity is called Emotions Charades. Charades. You will need a deck of cards. You can create faces depicting different emotions. So, I have a little deck here that's got some pictures of different faces and emotions. Let's see there. Oops, upside down. So you can create your own cards similar to this with depicting different emotions. Okay, and then your child can identify the emotion and act it out. So let's say you see a card that looks like this, happy. So they'll look at the card and they'll make a happy face, for example. And you have to guess what emotion card they're holding. You can then switch roles and act out the cards while your child guesses, and do this repeatedly. So the second game is called Emotions Matching Game. You'll need 2 decks of identical emotion cards. So you need 2 of the same decks. So turn over the decks onto a table upside down so the pictures are hidden, and take turn flipping 2 of the cards. Okay. Memorizing them and flipping them so that they're hidden once again onto the table. And as you flip and remember identical cards, the matches can be collected until there are no more matches left. So you can have fun playing these games. Next, we will explore mindfulness. Okay, so what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, their feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations using therapeutic techniques. These activities can help your child to reach a state of mindfulness and an awareness of breath control. So the first activity is called bubble breathing. Have the child pretend to blow bubbles. So just have a pretend wand and have them blow. Inhale deeply through the nose, like this, and exhale slowly through the mouth as if blowing a bubble. So here's my pretend wand, and I'm going to blow. That's one fun game you can try. Another activity to try is called belly breathing. So have your child lie down with one hand on their belly and one on their chest with their eyes closed. Together you can inhale through the nose like this and feel the belly rise. Hold for a moment and then exhale through the mouth, feeling the belly deflate. So as you're breathing out, the belly will deflate, and your child can feel this with their hand. The belly should be rising and not the chest. The belly rise indicates proper breathing technique. So next we will talk about ways to help your child problem solve and work through emotions. Next slide. What about problem solving in kindergarten? Helping your child to understand and manage emotions and come up with solutions to their own problems fosters empowerment, independence, and social skills within them. Problem solving through dramatic play is one way to accomplish this. You can help your child experience dramatic play through activities such as puppet play, where common situations can be explored and worked through by identifying emotions and problem solving. This helps them to develop social and self-regulation skills. So you can make puppets with paper bags or socks and decorate them as you wish with your child and make them come to life. Encourage dramatic play with puppets where different scenarios can be explored and problem solving and self-regulation can be role modeled. So I have a couple of puppets here. A parent can role play and say, so there we go. Let's see faces. Okay, so you can be one puppet or you can be both puppets to role model, and your child can have puppets on their hands as well. A parent can role play and say, my favorite toy broke. I'm so upset. What can I do? And again, validate their emotions. How upsetting. Okay, and then have your child come up with possible solutions to try. Try different ideas until one works. For example, what can we do? Maybe glue would work, tape, or sewing it back together. Let your child come up with the solutions first. Okay, another activity to try is to read books together. Find books that involve emotions. Reading together helps to expand vocabulary, focus, and to talk about feelings. So this is a fun book. It's called A Big Guy Took My Ball by Mo Williams. I'll just share a couple of pages with you. So this is about poor little guy, little piggy here, who had his ball taken. He says, and then a big guy came and he took my ball. And you can see him crying, and his friend the elephant is very shocked at his emotions. And then he says, I am so upset. And then here you see him leaning on his friend for some emotional support. So I can't read you the whole book, it's too long, but you get the idea, I'm sure. So reading together is a great activity to do. You can find other outlets to relax and promote feelings of joy with your child as well through music, creative art such as dance, and other physical activities that they might enjoy. So next, Smita will conclude our presentation.
Thank you, Amy. All right, so did you know Early On provides a program called K is for Kindergarten, which is offered to children eligible for school entry in September and is available from May through August. Children will participate in an emergent curriculum environment parallel to the formal school system. And with the support of a registered early childhood educator, every session the adults will participate in a discussion that offers tools and strategies for a smooth transition into kindergarten. Topics will focus on self-regulation, self-help skills, learning styles, and communication. Visit the Durham Region website or email earlyon.durham@ymcagta.org or ece@durhamfamilyresources.org For more information, I would also like you to invite to visit our portal, keyon.ca, where you can find detailed information about all our programs, services, and upcoming events. And now I will take you to our website, which is actually the Keyon website. So now this alert, so this is basically you may access it directly by scanning the QR code. If you do have a phone, you can scan the QR code, or you can actually go on www.keyon.ca. And this is what the website, it looks like this. So Keyon is a digital check-in system for early on child and family centers in Durham. It helps families register, sign in, and find programs. Okay. Now, when you click the search for a program button at the top left menu, you don't need to log in. You just click search for a program at the top of the page and the programs will show up. Now you will also see a list of regions. So you have to select your region. So if you're from Durham region, you will select Durham region. And then you will select what municipality you are in. So once you find your municipality, you can select the specific area or neighborhood within that you live in or looking for a program in. So if you're in Oshawa, you're looking for Central Oshawa, you'll find Central Oshawa, North Oshawa, South Oshawa. Once you find your municipality and neighborhood, you can explore the available programs and choose the ones that fit your schedule and location. So like you see the calendar here, you will find all the programs listed there. Now, how to register with Keyon? So click the top left corner of the drop-down menu on Keyon and you will see an option to register. Just click that button and get started. Don't forget to create a strong password using the special characters mentioned. Then answer the security questions provided and finish setting up your account. Once you are registered and become a member with this, you'll receive a key tag from any of our locations. You can use this tag across the entire Durham region. Just scan in when you arrive and scan out when you leave. It's that simple. Right. We truly appreciate you taking time to be here with us. Thank you for being a part of today's session. Your engagement shows how much you care and your child benefits from every step you take together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Smita and Amy. That was so helpful. I loved all of those examples that you gave with different activities, and I loved that they were, not overly complicated. Just enough to understand, what we can be doing to help support our little ones. If we're kind of working on some of these skills, there's so many things that we can be doing, and it was really great to have all of those examples provided. I do love the anything with bubbles. I think bubbles, regardless of what age you are, bubbles are always the best thing to bring in. So it's always fun for little ones, and certainly just all those different activities for the different skills that you went over are so helpful. And thank you as well for going over what Early On can offer with Keyon and seeing all of the fantastic programs that you do provide across the community. I know I want to speak on behalf of the Durham District School Board in saying that we're so grateful to have Early On as a partner in 14 locations across our board, that we have a dedicated hub room space within schools where Early On does offer programs and provide different supports for families. So it's a really, really wonderful partnership that we have, and the programs that you do provide are so helpful to families, especially, those families with children aged 0 to 6. That is really the focus for certainly your programs, but it is so beneficial, and I do recommend highly to any family that is looking for some support to definitely check out Early On and find a program near you. So thank you both so much for going over all of those great activities. At this time, I did just want to open up an opportunity for families to submit any questions that they might have about anything that was shared, whether it be Shandicia or Jen's presentation, or Amy and Smita's presentation, anything that you might have questions about. Now is the time to post those questions, again, using the Q&A feature on the call. And we will start to pose some of those to the team and hopefully get some answers for you. So I do see one question that did come in here just a moment ago. So our 3.5-year-old daughter refuses to go to public toilets, possibly because of hand dryers. She used to go to the toilet at Walmart, but something's changed. What could be done in this case?
I don't mind addressing that question. One possible suggestion, and Jen, if you have a suggestion, I'll let you go as well, just taking a break from that. So similar to when we talked about pit stops along the learning journey, we don't want children to feel relaxed or pressured to do something that they're uncomfortable with. So if hand dryers, the sound of them can be scary for children and they're in a public space. So that's okay to pivot and get them accustomed to other places. So grandparents' house, friend's house, just other locations. It doesn't have to be public spaces like a grocery store. So just pivoting the environment can also support them getting familiar to using the bathroom in unfamiliar spaces, but not pressuring them with something that they're not feeling too comfortable with.
And along those same lines, my suggestion would be, I know my daughters, it was the automatic flusher. It wasn't the hand dryers, but it was the toilet going off while they were sitting on it was stressful for them. So, we would kind of block that out. So if there are ways that you can modify so that your child doesn't have to use the air dryers, whether that's, packing an extra napkin when you're coming in, if you walk by Tim Hortons or McDonald's, just grabbing a few of those so they don't have to use the air dryer. Of course, if it's going off in that environment, some of them are more sensitive to sound, but it is also a good conversation for them to kind of normalize, just as we said about going out and about on adventures. The unfortunate thing is there are things that you're able to modify and plan for, but there's also going to be instances where you're in Walmart, the urge comes, and it is going to be being prepared for those, or potentially an accident. So, having those conversations, acknowledging that her fear is real and her discomfort with those air dryers, they are loud and obnoxious, is real. And so again, just making those modifications if you can, having those conversations, engaging her and saying, what could make it better? If we were to go to Walmart tomorrow and have to use the bathroom, would it help if mommy has or daddy has paper? Or perhaps there isn't. Sometimes some places have family washrooms, so if there's an opportunity to use one of those that doesn't have an air dryer, it's looking again to kind of modify as best you can and work with what you have. And just like Shandesia said, if it means taking a break from Walmart and going somewhere else, that can help too. But it's just kind of, it's a dance. You do a few steps forward, a few steps back sometimes, and just keeping those lines of communication open and letting them know that you support them and that you're validating their fears.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it really is that journey, right? There will be some days that you feel you're taking strides, and then some where you've gone backwards and you're wondering what happened. But great idea to have sort of everything prepared just in case. And I did see a comment that came in response to that question with somebody saying that they also have a potty in their car. So if there's again some sort of challenges with public spaces, great to have some alternative solutions for little ones who may be struggling with that, and certainly understandable. It's there are some many scary things in this world, and when you're little, things are overwhelming. So that's certainly very normal. I do have two questions that I'm going to combine here. So both related to K is for kindergarten. So when is K is for kindergarten available, and how do we register? And we specifically had a question about potentially Pickering or Whitby, but really looking at when those programs become available and how to go about registering for those.
I can take that question, Amanda. So we do have programs. Yes, Case for Kindergarten is starting. So just keep an eye out on our calendars. The calendars should be out. Again, you can go on keyon.ca and access the calendars. There you can select what region you want to go for. So if you want to go for Whitby, just select Whitby, and all the programs will be there. I know for sure the Case for Kindergarten program is starting July, August will be there. We are also starting a special program in Pickering, which is called Focus on Preschool/Kindergarten. So it's only for children who are actually starting kindergarten this September. So it's not a registered program as of yet, but it could be. So just keep an eye out on the July calendar. And registration is as easy as I told you. If you are a member of Keon, you just have to click on that program, and then it will just take you straight to registration, and you can register for that program. As of now, from what I know, is that Case for Kindergarten will be starting July and August, and we have special kindergarten readiness program starting starting June. So just keep an eye out on our calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. And it really is such a great program. If families have the opportunity to check it out, it really is such a valuable program, especially when you're trying to get that transition ready to go. It's, as I said at the beginning, it's overwhelming, it's exciting, it's all the emotions. So definitely anything that can help is a great resource. So thank you. We have a question here. My little one is nonverbal and resisting to poo in the toilet. How do we make him do it? Any tips that would be greatly helpful?
So I'll try and tackle this one, Shandicia. I know you've got my back. So I think in this instance, we would suggest referring back to the healthcare provider, just because again, they know the child, better than we would in this instance. Something we didn't mention earlier in our presentation that may be helpful for families to know is part of our program in Healthy Families, we have an infant and child development group that work as well. So calling into the Derm Health Connection line or going through 311, there are occupational therapists that are able to support families. So up until they do enter school. So there are some wait lists and things at this to get registered. But if your child is not going next year, it may be worth having a call and a conversation, and then the ICD staff would come out and they would develop programs and support that way. But for this, you just, again, don't want to stress the child out. You don't want to stress yourself out. You don't want it to be a forced, because leading to constipation and withholding can be very problematic in toilet learning. So, Shandicia, did I miss anything, or was that thumbs up?
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. And I also saw, Shandicia, you put in a link to, again, a great resource to one of your web pages there. So great place for families to also go for more information or to explore some of those resources that you highlighted in your presentation earlier. So thank you for that. We do have a question, and I think I can take this one. Are kids reminded of going to the toilet, or are they on their own to tell teachers? My child requires a reminder to go to the washroom, and she tends to hold on when busy playing. And that is very, very typical. Certainly at this age, if you're engaged in your play, you don't want to stop, and nothing will stop you, even having to use the bathroom. And again, there will be accidents. We know that this is normal. It's not something to be upset about. This is very typical and age appropriate. In terms of being in the kindergarten room, we have wonderful educators who are really there to support development of children. And we always keep, certainly the child at the center of everything and the dignity of the child at the forefront too. So our educators, certainly in those first few months when we know that routines are brand new and we need some friendly reminders, those are definitely things that will happen throughout the day. We know our educators are very mindful of that. We know that little ones, again, when they're engaged in activities or playing, it's the last thing that they're thinking about half the time. So they will be providing as many reminders as possible. In many of our kindergarten rooms, we do have a washroom available in that space. So children are free to use the toilet whenever they do need to. In some spaces that we don't have a toilet exactly in the room, educators will certainly take times throughout the day to make sure that children are able to use the bathroom spaces that are closest to the room, and will help to support and make sure that children are being supported in those moments. So hopefully that helps to answer that question there. We do have one here. Are you able to share strategies for before behaviors escalate? What can be done during high emotions to calm the child down?
That one's a really great question. So I'll try my best. So having conversations, I think early on did a great job about talking through emotions with your child, and that's something that can begin well before the start of school. So that emotional regulation, identifying, communicating, and of course, validating the child's experience are big, big things that you can do to support them with navigating through those big feelings, because they are big feelings for the little ones. So if you're thinking about strategies to prevent escalating, open communication, building that attachment and trust with your child so that they know that they can come to you with those big emotions. Those are all little things that we can do that make a big, big impact. And it supports them with the confidence to know that if there's a trusted adult, they can go to them with their emotions too. So that translates to the school setting, meaning their teacher, the ECs in the classroom, and they're well equipped to support children with kind of navigating those feelings. And they do a great job in kind of supporting children to say, when are you in the green zone? Are you happy? When are you in the yellow zone? Things are not so well. You need some support with managing those feelings, and being aware of when they're kind of getting to a red zone, of when the feelings are really, really big and they need some extra support. So just having conversations, I think, starting from home around that, reading books about emotions, I think is a great, great strategy, and early on touched on that. So those are some of the little things I would suggest to put into practice in your home routines to support the child with responding to those big feelings.
That's great. Thank you so much. We do have one question here, just discussing, I won't read the full question because it is quite long, but just discussing the size of toilet seats and some challenges if children are struggling to use those. And certainly if that's an issue in your school, I do encourage you to connect with the school team if there's some adjustments that can be made or some additional supports that can be put in place. Those are great conversations to have with your school team, and they will be certainly the best people to work with to support your child in those moments. And we'll certainly work with other departments in our board that might be able to help and make any adjustments that are required to meet your child's needs. That's the main goal, is that we meet your child where they're at and work to support them with their development. So if that is a question, do please reach out to the school for any supports that your child might need. There is a question though here. If a child has some medical conditions that impact toileting, how is that accommodated? I'm not sure if that's specific to the school or just in general, if there's sort of other potential, challenges that are going on, or just if there's something going on with this little one that may be impacting the potential to be skilled in toileting. If there's any sort of feedback that anyone might have or recommendations.
One thing that we often recommend and stress with parents that is super helpful is establishing a really positive relationship with the staff at the school, with communicating your child's needs. So whatever that is, just really being upfront with the teacher about what they're going to need to navigate the school day with as much success, with as much ease, and with as much support as they need. Developmental difficulties, learning difficulties, just being honest and open right out the gate with your teachers will make a big impact, because the more that they're aware of what the child needs, the better able they are to support. So just have those conversations. Schools are very supportive and wanting to support, and they're able to do that well when they are well informed. So definitely share as much information as you can with your school team.
And do it earlier. If you're going to those welcome to kindergartens, have these conversations early on. Don't wait until like the week before school, like knowing that these classrooms have upwards of close to 30 students sometimes, right? So it's a lot of new friends for that teacher, and a lot of little personalities to navigate through. So yeah, the sooner you can broach and have those conversations, and then steps from my experience, teachers are phenomenal, and they want everybody to be happy and successful. They want it to be a positive experience. So having those conversations early, they will appreciate that, and being willing to, come in or support as needed as well. So always a good idea.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you sharing that, Jen, because that is, the sooner that the schools can have a knowledge of what's going on with your little one and what you're willing to share will only be helpful for their success in their learning, and just making sure that the school can be there to support whatever their needs may be. But we do need to know that as early as possible. So again, if I appreciate you sharing, if you're going to those welcome events, those introduction to kindergarten evenings or afternoon sessions, please, those are great opportunities to meet the school team and to share any of that information, or at least to build those connections, to start building those relationships so that you feel that you can connect with those individuals at the school and share that information. Because I know it's a lot of information to share at once, and it may not be the first instinct that you have with communicating with the school, but they are your best allies in this, and they'll certainly be supportive in any way that they can. So that's great. So I'm mindful of our time. We have reached the end of our session, which is very hard to believe. I know that we had a couple more questions coming in. Unfortunately, as we said, we would do our best to answer all of them, but we didn't have a chance to get to them all today. But if you do have questions, there was that great Durham Health Connection line that we shared a little bit earlier. So if there are some public health questions, that's a great place to go. If you have some questions about any programs that Early On is running, please look into to Keon and seeing what sessions that they do have available. So in terms of this evening's session, that's a wrap. And when I say that's a wrap, it's actually a wrap to our entire webinar series. And as crazy as it is to believe, just because of how long we've been doing this now, that was our final session of our Great Beginnings webinars for families this year. But we are very happy that you were able to join us this evening, and hopefully you were able to join us at some of our other sessions that we ran over the course of the last several weeks. And we do really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to spend it with us this evening. I want to send first off a huge thank you to Shandicia and Jen for all of the amazing information that you provided, just in regards to overall development, and that, as I said earlier, that very challenging process of learning to use the toilet that we don't think about when we're certainly adults, and don't kind of think about all of the steps that it takes, and how challenging it can be, and the progress and then the regression that can happen, and that's okay. And it's certainly when children are ready, as you said, we have to be mindful of looking for those signs and being aware of what our children are showing us, and certainly, as you said, families know their children best, so they are the first and foremost teachers of their little ones, and they are the ones that are starting this. So really appreciate all of that helpful information that you shared tonight, and really went into that in detail. And thank you again for Smita and Amy too, for the practical activities that you shared, that were really some great activities that families can take home, and leave tonight's presentation with some strategies that they can maybe try, because perhaps there's some areas where their children are only starting to learn about some of these skills. And so these are great activities that they can try to implement and help their children and support that development. So really appreciate all of you for joining this evening, and again, taking the time out of your busy schedules to present this fabulous session. So thank you so much. And so we hope that this learning over the course of this series has been helpful for everybody. Again, if you do have any interest in watching some of our old sessions, we do recommend you connect with our website to see some of those old recordings that we have. Again, we will have all 5 of the sessions that we offered this year posted on that website. We also have sessions from 2023, 2024. And so if there are sessions from previous years that you may be interested in, those recordings are there as well. But we do thank you for joining us this evening. So again, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us through this series. We are so excited to welcome your little one into the DDSB in September. Again, it's exciting. This is a major transition in your little one's life. This is such a big moment, but we are here with you. We are on this journey together, and we're so happy that that you're here with the Durham District School Board, and we look forward to all that is to come on this exciting journey of learning and development and joy for coming to school. So thank you all so much, and we hope you have a great rest of your evening.